My wife and I are big believers in the potential to design your life the way you want to live it. We like this area, and we decided for us that what was important is a quiet life. We live a stone's throw from the Atlantic Ocean, and that's where we spend a lot of our time. We'll go for beach walks, and I surf very regularly across the street. And we love to travel, and we travel for that culture. We travel to see architecture, we travel to go to restaurants. But the day-to-day life is very quiet and calming here and inspiring. My name is Sean Brunson. We are located on a small barrier island off the east coast of Central Florida, and this is the Brunson residence. My wife and I built this home approximately 3 years ago. We spent a couple years in development, design, and research. It's a house that captures that modern spirit of the 50s and 60s era. It's designed in the post and beam style. It lives very openly and modern. It's a house that has a very strong connection to the outdoors. We have a lot of glass here, and that was actually one of the things that we weren't sure we could get away with these days, but through the use of energy efficient glass, impact glass, hidden insulation up in the ceiling, foam insulation, things like that, we were able to pull it off. This home was very inspired by a lot of the post and beam small modern homes of the 50s and 60s. One home in particular we were heavily inspired by, Edward Killingsworth in Long Beach, California. This home took approximately 9 months to build, which wasn't bad at all. I was heavily involved in the process. I fully embraced the process and really enjoyed the journey of that. Prior to construction, we spent, I would say, 2 to 3 years developing the plans and securing the land and just getting everything ready. I would say that the most difficult thing for me during the whole building phase was actually finding the right builder. We spent literally a year interviewing builders, and you call them on the phone and everything's great and they're all into it, and then they get the plans and they dive into it, and it's a little bit too unusual for today's standards. It's not cookie cutter at all, and we had a tough time finding a builder. After about a year of searching, I called our architect one day and I said, I'm just not having any luck and I'm starting to get frustrated. So he said, there's this young builder in our area that's been touching some of my projects and doing a really good job with the details, so maybe you guys talk. Sure enough, I called right away. I called that builder, and right after that first meeting, I knew he was the guy. He totally got it, and he was excited about the project, and that's what we wanted. We wanted to work with people that were excited about it. We hope to find a builder that would allow us to be a little bit more hands-on than probably your normal client, and that takes a special kind of arrangement. Fortunately for me, the builder that we found was cool with me handling as much as possible. We not only wanted to do that to save some money, but we also just really wanted to be very vested in this project. My wife and I are very hands-on people. We love renovation. Prior to building this home, we pretty significantly renovated 2 Florida ranch style homes, and we would tend to skew them a little bit more modern than they really were, adding more glass and adding a pool. We decided that we wanted to take the leap and really build something that was a little bit more architecturally significant and definitely lived more modern. During the building process, the agreement was that we would pay a fixed fee for the build. We would pay out the trades direct, and that I would do as much as possible on the build. So my wife and I painted the entire house inside and out. We did all landscaping. Any plant that you see, we brought in. All the ground cover rock, we laid ourselves. And all of the ceilings, the tongue and groove cypress, we clear coated ourselves prior to installation. So we did quite a bit of work, things that we could handle, that we knew we could handle, we did so that we could save some money and feel like it's more ownership in the home. Pretty early on in my adult life, I started collecting modern furniture and modern art. And I just always got a kick out of finding an older piece and refurbishing it a little bit, bringing life to it and selling it. Over the years, the collection grew, and what you're seeing today is what we've collected for many, many years, and we've just narrowed down to these few pieces that really speak to us. I would say that my favorite piece in our collection is this sofa that I'm on. It's a Florence Knoll sofa. It's original from the 60s. All the fabric is still original, and it's got the more rare wood base. So many of these pieces that we own harken back to an era that was It's gone now, unfortunately, but there just had that era of optimism, and when artists work together and designers work together to create bigger and better things than just themselves. It's really easy to sound like a cliche when you talk about modern architecture. Everybody talks about that connection between the indoors and the outdoors, but it really is a very powerful thing. When you wake up in the morning, the sun is coming in the room. Pretty much no matter where you are in this house, there's just this beautiful light, and there's always this connection to what's happening outside. Quality of life here is great. It's very healthy living. It's very salt air. The courtyard really kind of channels the sound coming off the ocean, and it's funny when we get a swell, which has been quite often, you really hear the sound of the waves, and it's just very soothing. I find myself several times a day just jumping on the Vespa and riding across the road, check the surf, just feeling that ocean air, and then coming back and continuing work. Sometimes it's great, maybe lunchtime, get out for a quick surf. I've got a little rack system set up on the Vespa where I can just put the board on there and get down there within 2 minutes. I'm in the ocean, come back and continue on with the daily grind. When we designed the house, we decided to push the home as far back to the back property line as possible, somewhat eliminating a backyard. We still have a very small backyard, but what that did is it allowed us to have a very large front yard, which we then walled in, creating a courtyard. And we did a little something unusual where we put the pool in the front of the home. The pool is an L shape, and the home is also an L shape, mirroring that same shape, so that every room in the home has a perfect view of the pool. It's a very modest, modern home that lives very large. It's approximately 1,200 square feet, give or take a little bit. But we wanted to design something that was truly felt like it was part of that mid-century era. We weren't interested in having a super large bathroom or a ton of bedrooms. We just wanted this to become our modest, modern living home that worked well for my wife and I. I strongly encourage anyone who is interested in building a modern home to go for it, embrace it. It's well worth it. It's life-changing. When you live in a home that's inspiring and it affects the way that you perceive the world and your everyday life. If you're interested in living in a modern home, I strongly would encourage you to do your research, and there's ways to do it and save money. Like, we didn't have a really big budget to do this, but we put a lot of our heart and soul into this and a lot of physical labor, and it paid off in the end. Having a home like this in a place like this, we feel very blessed to have this, because it's a powerful thing when architecture and the environment work together. It's inspiring. It's just a very different way of life. It makes me think that it's a shame that modernism as a movement wasn't more successful, because it's such a powerful experience. And I think that when people experience it more, that more of that will hopefully happen and people will want that.